So I'm trying to get more of this creative problem solving into the world. And I have a couple of other different platforms where I practice it myself for my own pet projects. One of which is about the future of work and how we work in different spaces and how we keep our bodies healthy. And the other is a design school that just still trying to see the iterations with all the changes, but it kind of helps bring this to other demographics that are outside the traditional university setting, to try to spread this kind of mindset a little bit more. But welcome.
I love that you're in healthcare, actually, because I literally just got off of a conversation with I haven't mentioned this to you guys. If you're based in the US, and if you're needing some mental health help right now, considering all of the ridiculous bullshit that's going on, it's called Rethink My Healthcare. $60 a month, unlimited therapy, unlimited psychiatry. So check it out.
What is it called?
Rethink My Healthcare. I'll put it in the chat box. And I talked to Connor Gallick, because I was doing a little bit of redesigning, because if Vincent visits the website, he'll probably have a thing or two to say, because I had a thing or two to say about it too. But the concept and what they're doing is really, really amazing. So it's definitely something to check out, because it's actually accessible.
Cool.
Yeah.
So last but not least, it's Luna.
I'm here. I was just texting Mateus and Hector. Mateus is joining us in a second, and Hector hasn't yet answered me back. Well, I guess all of you know me, and I introduced myself to Emma 2 days ago.
Right.
Yeah, we were chatting on LinkedIn about,
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't answer your last text, actually, because I am all over the place. If you guys only knew, I don't even know how I am still.
Don't worry about it. The fact that I got to communicate about our shared neighborness was fun.
She's Peruvian. I didn't know she has a Peruvian background.
Yeah, I was adopted literally the last 10 kids to get out during Civil War before they shut her down. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to sell my story to Angelina Jolie. She'll do something with it.
I believe which one of you had either time or desire to come up with some of the how my week questions? I added a couple, but sometimes I feel like, oh my God, it's only me and myself going through all these things. And I saw some here.
I've got one. I didn't
put some in.
Yeah. But I was talking to Marina, and I believe before going through this salad of how my we's and consolidating into one question, maybe if we all join the Miro board, so we can start going through the stakeholder mind map that she created, and then we see how it's looking like in terms of time, so we can either start doing the consolidation of the big question, or maybe we can do 101s, or I can go through that with Marina later on.
Awesome. I'll pull up the Miro board.
Yeah.
Everybody should have access already.
Yeah. Where do we put our how do we thing?
There is a document.
The New Radical one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a running list, and I just added mine.
Okay.
I don't know how Luna wants to organize it.
What do you mean?
The how might we questions. She wants to know where to add those.
Let's go through the stakeholder mind map first.
Right. Well, I know that's what we're pulling up, but she was just asking where she can put her where might we questions while we're pulling up the
New Radical benchmark. Google Doc. Yeah. I sent you the access for it.
There we go. Awesome. Just added.
You guys added so much. I didn't have time to go through this for a few hours, so very exciting.
Oh man, my computer is just being slow poke.
Slow.
Okay.
Vincent and Emma, did you guys create a profile for Mira?
I went on hold on a second.
Yeah.
I went, and it said, where is it? Where did it go?
Yeah, I'm actually on the Miro board.
Yeah. I think you guys just gave me access. So I'm just going back
Terrence, can you accept Mateo's input?
I just did. Luna's making me laugh today.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to concentrate.
No, yes. Right and left brain. I love it.
No, I was in theta state, in theta mode, because I was doing a holistic healing session with one of my clients, and I had to just jump abruptly to this. So I'm like,
it sounds like a lot of us are thinking about like self-care today. I went to the doctor earlier today and made me feel really guilty. So I've been eating all veggies and cherries and stuff today. You know, like what's going on in the universe?
I'm eating popcorn.
So is this the one I'm supposed to have open, Luna? Hey, Mateus, how are you, dude?
No, that's not the one, Terrence.
Say what, Luna?
No, that's not the one.
Oh, I have to go, but I have to zoom in and.
Unless you have.
Welcome, Melissa.
You go to number 2, ecosystem stakeholder need map. Can you see my arrow here?
Oh, hold on.
Oh, wait, I'm on the wrong. Okay, now I got to zoom out. Woo!
I see me, Marina, and Mateus. I don't know if you guys
Vincent.
are here.
I'm going to go up.
Oh, okay. I see. Oh.
So right here.
Oh, my God.
Nope. It's this one.
Okay, I'm seeing.
Is that are you on a different? You might be on a different.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna copy the link here.
I'm at the wrong one.
Oh, you see me. Okay.
Product food tribe, that one.
I just sent the link here.
In the chat.
Uh-huh.
My bad, y'all. Technical difficulty.
Oi, Mateus.
Good.
Oi, tudo bem?
Mateus, you've already met everyone, right?
Not
Yeah,
Emma.
yeah, I met
Or
everyone.
Emma. Oh yeah, he did.
Emma?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Hey, how are you?
Did you meet Vincent and Marina?
Friends.
I met Vincent Marina last week, yes.
Awesome.
He met everyone.
Cool.
Even after who's not here.
Hector. Oh, man.
Okay, is everybody here?
Think so.
Me, Mateus, Marina, and one more, which is Terrence. I am still missing Emma and Vincent.
But it's okay. I'm like
Happy Africa Week, everyone.
Happy Africa.
Happy Africa Week.
Happy Africa Week.
Right.
Luna, you said you're missing me from where?
I don't see you at the mural board.
I'm on it. It says VB.
Did you click on the link I just shared in the chat?
It might be I might have sent the wrong one, Vincent.
Hold on, I'm fixing that too. Give me 1 second.
No problem.
You can probably just look on the screen share.
Hold on.
If it's
there we go. I think I did the thing.
I have one more. Yeah, I guess everybody's here now. There you go, guys.
We did the thing.
You can find us ecosystem stakeholder need map. You can probably see my arrow all the way down here.
Yeah.
So you want me to go down?
Yeah, go to number 2, ecosystem stakeholder need map. Green, yellow, and red. Or purple. Pink.
Here?
There you are. Hello.
Marina, I would love for you to explain, because even though I've done some of this with you the other day, I don't really know how to explain. You will probably explain much better.
Sure. So we're early on into this process, but we have a specific goal, right? Which is on the big board meeting on June 10th, we want to be able to present some ideas of who are the people we're trying to serve right now. What are some preliminary ways that we're trying to serve it through this restaurant bailout campaign? So there's a lot of different conversations happening around Food Tribe and the mission, and then what's timely for what's happening right now with the food industry, and then also what are some of the long-term future of food, future of community things that Food Tribe had been thinking about before all the madness started. So our goal with this developing a product, or the first product to make and test or to present in a few weeks to prototype, our goal is to narrow down what is that thing, right? And in order to do that, Luna and I and Terrence kind of talked at length of what are some of the key things that need to happen, and the design steps in order to get to what that need is. So one of the first things that we talked about is, well, we're aware of a lot of the different people within the food ecosystem, but we want to be able to narrow down to who we're serving, because there's a lot of really big ideas floating around. But in order to be really effective with our first thing, and make sure it kind of serves the greater vision of a joint vision with all of us, how do we narrow that down? So the first thing we started thinking about is there are a lot of stakeholders within this space. Most of them were identified in the packet that Terrence sent out in terms of like who Food Tribe wants to reach, and they should be all represented here. But what Luna and I did is we created a way to talk through this together. So our hope for right now is to talk about who are some of these big stakeholders, what are their different needs, and then we can narrow down to who are we trying to serve right now. It doesn't mean we're not going to serve all of these people. You know, it seems like the goal is to connect at some point, everyone. But at least for this first product that we want to ideate and start prototyping, we have to pick, you know, one or a couple different stakeholders that we're serving, and then also provide a persona and an empathy map to the board on June 10th. So what you see here is we kind of started it to get the ball rolling and to get the conversation in the right direction. But for today, maybe for like the next 10-15 minutes, let's have a group discussion about who are some of these key players, and then vote on who are the ones that we want to target off the bat. The format of what you see here with all of these colored circles is, you can see the template kind of towards the left. So the big green one is some of these larger ecosystems that we want to hit, right? Like the restaurant industry, the supermarket industry, all of the NGOs like No Kid Hungry, and all these people that are trying to serve food, food consumers, which we'll call foodies as a whole, and then all the food producers. So that's like a larger industry-wide thing. And then the yellow dots are any of the individual groups of people. So like within the restaurant industry, right? Like the owners and the chefs, they're different people and they have different needs. So we separated them out that way. And then finally the pink one is self-explanatory. It's what's their core need right now that we can focus on. This is a little bit, we're totally speculating this, right? Based on our collective experiences. In maybe a different world, there would be some more in-depth research to identify their needs, and this might change as we unearth more information. But for right now, it's what do we know right now based on our existing research.
I would just like to say a couple of other things just to complement what Marina is saying. As we were talking and preparing this, we were like, most likely those groups of people, either stakeholder or ecosystem that we identified here more than once, are probably those who are either very important for the food chain industry, or they have like serious needs right now. And for the needs itself, once we go further into this mind map, as she said, it will probably be pure speculation, but then it will be good for us to have whatever ideas we have about them, so we can go through researches with those stakeholders and actually validate whatever is true or not.
Mm-hmm.
So shall we start?
Yeah, any questions about this? Cool. So to keep it contained for the time, let's give ourselves like 10 minutes for the conversation, and then if it's going to go longer, we can. But what do you think about starting with, first starting with the main categories, these green ones. Nice. I like your timer. So let's start with the green ones and see if there's anything missing. And then we'll go into each one and add more as needed. So right now we've got, you know, the restaurant industry, supermarkets, underserved communities, food, farmers and producers, NGOs serving this space, and foodies. Is there any big ecosystem category that we've missed?
I think government and military for sure. And I don't know, I know we have NGOs as a category, but
That would be like just large institutions in general, because you could also put schools in there, especially.
So maybe we can change NGOs to those large institutions.
Yeah.
And have NGO as a stakeholder in that ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get the resources from the larger institutions and businesses.
Yeah.
Good idea. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? No?
Kind of thing.
I mean, if we're talking, you know, you guys got me inspired on like triple bottom line and donut economics. I mean, how do you quantify for the planet, for nature, right? Is nature a stakeholder? Is that impacted by our choices and decisions?
That's a good point. Huh.
I like that one. And also,
Maybe, sorry, keep going. Vincent.
Okay. Where would like families go?
Market shoppers, I think, in the foodie section, because I was looking like where are the moms, but I think that all falls into market shoppers in the foodie section.
Yeah, I think that. So sorry, we kept kind of use this broad category of foodies because everyone has to eat. You know what I mean? Like that, no one is not a foodie. Even if you don't love food, you have to eat, right? So it's a matter then of
The term would be consumer.
Right, and figuring out, okay, well, which of those customer segments have a need point that we can address that's in line with, you know, everything that it is that we're doing, right? So would you say that that's fair, Luna?
Yeah, I think perhaps changing the name, I think with the suggestion of maybe changing the name from foodies to consumers would be good, because foodies, to me, it communicates a certain type of definition of a group of people that is not automatically synonymous with like moms and like parents, or, you know, those individuals who, you know, like as you put it, Terrence, just need to eat, but it's not
What
like,
if, because we have like a stakeholder called eaters, so maybe instead we just change them, putting the ecosystem, call it eaters. I mean, people who need to eat. And then here we change this for foodies.
Yeah, an amateur chef should go on restaurants.
That's right.
No, not necessarily, because an amateur chef is someone that cooks at home, no?
Oh, I thought you
meant like home.
you meant like
Like a home chef. Home cook.
We have chefs in e-restaurant ecosystem.
I thought you meant like
Yeah.
you know, like the people on Instagram that are home cooking. When I see amateur chef, I see somebody who's trying to become a professional or is an influencer.
So I've actually Food Tribe has thought of that too. We have a category of user we have dubbed the foodfluencer. So whatever it is, however it is that you want to brand that, right? That is someone
Influencer. Yeah,
right,
I think
is
it goes
using
in eater.
food within social as social currency.
We're getting into the second layer. So are we done with the big ones, and we can move on to the second layer?
Yeah, we're already moving.
Okay. Well, yeah. Shall we? Since we've started talking about the eaters, why don't we then do the next layer? So we can do the 2 layers of that. So let's see. Food influencers. So is there anything else in this middle? So that let's looking at the eaters category. Terrence, can you zoom in, or whose screen is that? Can you zoom into the eaters category a little bit?
So let's say eaters, it is the independent consumers. Restaurants is like a middle, large scale producers. We have the food industries, the one who buy like large quantities of food. Supermarkets is the like storage, who does logistics.
Guys, I do want to say that you know, we allocated about half an hour. We got, you know, running late, all that good stuff. You know, if you have to hop off at, you know, within the next like 5 minutes or so, feel free. We'll continue on as long as we need to. But also, what we are doing in the 10 minutes or 15 minutes that we've been doing this, my mind is already blown and thinking about some crazy stuff. So just appreciate you. Thank you.
So one, just aside, I put on the Google Docs, I put one, how might we create a system to benefit and help the food chain? So it's pretty much like this. And I found our church online that's pretty much designed the whole food chain.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Yeah.
It's pretty easily accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, usually it's social system, biological system, economic system, health system, political system, right, Mateus?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I use that to give lectures.
Okay. Marina, what are you doing?
Okay. So we have, I just wanted to do a note to self. Okay, so we're still at the eaters end of the food chain, and you know, this doesn't have to be 1,000% comprehensive, because we do want to narrow it down at some point.
Pick your battles.
So yeah. So let's look at, you know, is there anyone else that's missing? So right now, and there'll be some overlap, right? Like you have your regular, you know, or everyday people that need the food. We've got the foodies that take it a little more seriously.
I mean, wouldn't your underserved communities be an extension of end of the chain?
Yes, definitely. I didn't add that. I was actually thinking we have more than one ad in.
Yes, but I think it's a little bit different. So this is more like maybe the consumer end, like people like you and me, like just everyday people that consume, and then underserved communities kind of have their own special focus, because they may not have access to the same types of things that you or I might have, so their needs would vary differently.
Definitely. And everyone that serves them is mainly different than everybody else. I believe it's important for us to have them as a separate ecosystem.
And if we're talking about new economy, new economics, right? You know, for a long time, these members were discounted as not being inclusive of the economy, right? Like they were, you know, almost like I don't know the right word to use, but
Marginalized.
Marginalized, correct, right? And so, you know, as a result of that marginalization, even if we are not defining them as separate, they have been treated as such, and they have their own identity as such, and their own economics and culture that I think we're going to have to, you know, understand, right? A whole other language, I think, in a lot of ways regarding.
So with that being said, then I think it might be important then to reconsider the name of the eaters at the end of the chain, because of what you just said. I think going back to consumers, because they're
So are there, and so that's, man, I saw
maybe
this.
we are going ahead of ourselves. Let's just name the ecosystems, and then maybe we are understanding that we need to do another exercise to understand the chain and what it's actually in which phase of the chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like a topic.
Yeah, I mean, we can rearrange these. So let's move off of the eaters. Let's, I suggest we do the restaurants next. And think about some of the people around, because a lot of this, or the focus of this, is, you know, the restaurant bailout. So it's good to spend a bulk of our time on that. So looking at kind of who falls into the restaurant ecosystem, we've got chefs, restaurant workers, the rest of the staff, the owner, food trucks, which may or may not be independent of the restaurant, but we wanted to mention it. Is there anyone else?
Think of like
Consumers.
industry.
We have canteens. We have
Canteens, cottage industry.
Cafeterias,
cafeterias.
bed and breakfast. And I'm gonna use this example again. What about like prison chefs? I see chefs locked up, cook. They have their own economy. They are cooking for people that are locked up. There are all sorts of people that are like that. Street vendors, right, in Los Angeles. That is a completely separate category of restaurant. You know.
That's where that levels of Dante's Inferno, the levels of hell thing would be.
Totally.
You just like, instead of going, why do you just go deeper?
Right, but you know, if you were locked up for 6 months, like, you know, I've had, you know, family members that have told me, like, when you're in jail, or when you don't have any other resources, you figure out what you're good at and you use that in order to survive, right? So if you're good at cooking, you were the guy that cooked, right? You were the lady that cooked. So if you're trying to get out, you know, I would argue that, you know, whatever your circumstance is, like when you're trying to get back on your feet, you know, ideally you're doubling down on the thing that you were already doing. That was, you know, you go to what your experience was, what, you know, what you knew, just in a better way, right?
Would a point of sale services be a stakeholder? Because right now I don't know if people, I guess if they're doing delivery right now, I guess.
Oh, like
delivery companies.
The ghost
Well,
kitchens.
the delivery companies, but there's also the people that they're just selling these new, just a point of sale systems that are just a lot more integrated and just really modern and everything. So that would be.
There's certainly levels of ghost kitchens too, for sure, where they'll give you the infrastructure, maybe they'll just give you the technology, the POS and the brand, you know?
So you guys said ghost kitchen, delivery partners. What else?
Distribution. Oh, you guys, logistics, supermarket Well, I think logistics in terms of food or distribution is something to consider, right? How is the food? How are the products? How are the people?
Actually, each bridge, that is the distribution and the logistics, you know, from the agriculture to the supermarkets to restaurants, it is like a different company usually who does like all this logistics.
We have consumers, the trash companies that has to collect whatever it is, distribution, food trucks, restaurant owners, restaurant workers, staff, chefs being the chefs in prisons, shelters, ghost kitchen, delivered partners. Who are we missing?
I mean, you already said the consumer, but I guess we could specify like actual local people, because there's these places like people that actually live in the community, because as these places go out of business, I mean, the local community suffers because, you know, just money goes out.
So I will call local communities as something else.
City of LA has made it legal for homeowners to open up their homes to offer meals to people.
That's why I said the cottage industry. That's like it rolled up into that.
Yeah.
Cottage
industry. Yeah, you can get a cottage license, essentially meaning like you can cook for people in your kitchen. You don't have to go to the same level as a restaurant, but they'll come and make sure that there's no animals in your kitchen. They'll inspect, make sure you have like your food and safety certification. But yeah, that's a lot of local people who are like selling their wares at the farmers markets, like their granola or their bread. That's their cottage industry.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. Yes. It's a good, cool. This is, this is a lot. Anything else?
Everything actually. We should definitely put farmers. I mean,
Yeah, they're a stakeholder. Yeah, I mean they're all
On
connected.
the table.
Yeah.
Farmers markets.
The beverage side of the food industry, those tend to be right now the beer and coffee and.
I mean, they a lot of the times they make up
They are
that money in the restaurants.
Yeah, we think so much about food, huh? We don't quite think about.
Oh, I do.
I mean, we have all kinds of different suppliers, like from food to drinks to toilet paper to plates to everything.
That's the other part is direct to consumer. Like I went to Ralph's the other day and I saw Roscoe's waffles in the freezer.
Oh my God.
Which I couldn't freaking believe. Like Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles, Luna, you might not know, it's a famous LA restaurant. But certainly now you're starting to see like direct to consumer brands or restaurants have the ability to start selling their products or their menu items.
Yeah, the capillarity, it's growing or spreading.
We consider that like a direct to consumer branch maybe of the restaurants.
Suppose, yeah. I think that's the goal, right? Is to have enough brand recognition where you're not tied to a single location. I mean, a lot of people, right, depending on who you are, you're not tied to a single location and you can feed more and more people.
Right.
So supermarket chains, you mean, could be a
no, more like I think more just thinking about like that. I guess not quite supermarkets because that's just one piece, but like in general, their ability to take the food into people's homes, maybe if we consider that like a separate branch of the restaurant or separate brand.
Do you think? I think we have a lot. I'm pretty sure we could go to the infinite, like putting all the stakeholders in that. So I would like to understand if we should, because of the time, shall we just go through stakeholders for each one of the ecosystems and then we go through the needs in the next session?
Okay. Or separately. I agree.
Yeah, or each one of us can just, whenever we have 10 minutes, we can just add our post-it notes here in Miro, whatever needs we believe are necessary to address.
I have a question. I like that idea. And I have a question about, as we go through the process of doing this, is the goal with identifying both the ecosystem, the stakeholders and their needs, is the goal to see how many needs are arising within an ecosystem in which we are going to determine to address? Or is it more so to see similarities in which we could maybe combine, like what ultimately by us like going through and looking at each one of these ecosystems, how will we make the determination of which one we will like to focus on as it relates to moving forward?
I believe we'll get to both of those points. And I mean, as much as I do, when we are doing a design thinking process, the questioning phase, it's a lot longer than actually creating the outcome. So I believe more exercises we do, more we understand which direction we should take. So I believe like compiling this with the mind maps I created and put in an Excel spreadsheet, all these researches will eventually connect a dot. So I don't know maybe once we go through the needs, we will understand if we should see the emerging needs or the most painful ones.
I guess that's more so the question. It's not so much like what is going to be the final solution, but it's what is the litmus test in which we're going to look at to help us to determine that. Like, is it going to be the abundance of needs, or is it more so the similarity of needs? Does that make sense? So it's like, yeah. Okay.
Our first idea when I was talking to Marina was like, Marina, most likely what we will extract from this is that those stakeholders or those needs that we see being repeated, most likely those are the ones that really need to be addressed.
Got it.
So I believe once we actually start analyzing this data, we will have that answer. So we can move forward from there.
Yeah, and if not, then we would decide amongst us how are we choosing what to focus
Absolutely.
on first,
Always.
Got it.
based on the food tribe's values, and then how the team wants to push it forward.
Yeah, I certainly don't think
So
that there's all sorts of ways to quantify data and to, you know, use numbers in order to make an argument, you know, so I don't want it to be as much about like, oh yeah, this is like, I don't think it matters as much about the number as much as like the collective feeling about the number. And if it feels like we're, you know, kind of moving towards the right direction, right? I think that the numbers have told this story for a long time. And so we just kind of want a different interpretation of that.
But usually those things go hand in hand.
Yeah.
The number and the need, I mean, the quantity and the quality, somehow they connect to each other. So let's move to the next ecosystem so we can at least have a lot of ideas so we can
Which one do we want to focus on?
Yeah, here, I'm going to move these. Wait, don't.
I'm not going to do anything.
Don't be concerned. Just want to move.
I don't know. We can maybe go to supermarket and logistics.
Yeah, let's think about that one next. So we've got here.
Mercado.
Okay, and Luna, if you don't mind, I'm going to delete these connections.
Yeah, I was about to, but I didn't know if you needed them there or not.
Yeah, we had originally done it because there are going to be connections, and now I don't know how to delete them. Okay, someday. Okay, so we've got, you know, shoppers, workers,
Brands,
producers,
again, logistics,
Factories,
Yeah, distribution warehouses. Man, the restaurant or grocery store is tough. There's like inventory management is huge.
software companies, maybe.
What about development, like firm architecture, like firms who actually develop the actual supermarket, like the building itself, right? Like, you know,
Civil construction,
yeah.
real estate. Yeah, I'm gonna add that.
This is why Whole Foods Arroyo is like so much fun to go to, because there's borders going in there.
What else?
They have partnerships with nonprofits and food banks.
we have rural cooperatives, agricultural production enterprises.
Oh my goodness.
Couponing is huge. I don't know how we quantify if that's marketing or what, but couponing is huge in the food industry. Huge.
That'd still be like
probably marketing. Yeah. Sorry, what'd you say?
Supermarket and the brand.
Online versus offline.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like
Drive
Amazon Fresh, you know, that's still considered a supermarket, and it's both online and offline, considering their new model that they have, where you can walk in and just pick up stuff and walk out.
And also, you know, I love we were exploring a kitchen concept. If you look at how grocery stores are set up in a lot of metropolitan areas, they're almost like a community center. I mean, in addition to it just being regular groceries, you have your produce, you have your meat, you have your dairy. Then you also can go do your banking there. You can get a Starbucks there. You can, I mean, I don't know how we quantify that, but
Community centers.
right?
The malls, they're more like shopping malls.
Especially
also
in the US.
Grocery shopping malls. I also added third-party shoppers, so like your why am I blanking? Like Postmates and like people that are shopping but not for themselves.
Instacart.
Yeah, that one. Instacart. Okay, so this is good. Shall we move on? Or if more come up, we can always add later.
Yeah, there's always more for sure. I would just like to tackle the main ones, just to make sure we don't miss any very important thing.
So where are we going?
Shall we do underserved communities next?
Yeah.
Public schools.
Public schools.
In terms of like food.
Shelters. Oh, we have it.
We've got shelters and then the people themselves.
Definitely NGOs.
The elderly and vulnerable populations, they've got some food programs in California that are kind of on the chopping block for funding.
Unemployed people.
Yeah, the working poor.
Or
Wait a second. Say that again.
The working poor.
What?
Working
The
poor.
working poor.
Poor. P-O-O-R.
The working poor.
Yeah. And then unemployed.
Don't do it. I have, guys, I don't know. I'm not myself today. Underserved communities. I mean, government for sure, always.
As underserved? What do you mean?
Well,
Oh, who?
they need, they
There's
kind of,
in there.
there's so much related to that, like money that goes through building shelters and whatever stipend they got by not having, I don't know.
Well, can we
I see.
bureaucracy? Is that a stakeholder? However we want to quantify that.
The system.
The system.
Ooh.
Government system, can I put that? I believe in.
Yeah, that's an, yeah. Get the gist.
What else? Is that it? See? They don't even have that many stakeholders for people.
I mean, again, you could also put, you know, a stakeholder in underserved communities if we want to talk about NIMBY. I mean, people in the middle class and upper class that are like on the edges of these underserved communities, like, you know, they want their real estate to keep their, you know, their value. And if we have, you know, all of this poverty just nearby, it doesn't help anybody keeping the value of their property. So
I would just add society because
I think also
upper class, I would say,
or local community again.
Local, the
local
served community, the served community.
Something to consider, right?
Yeah, who's opposed to serving?
The privileged.
Like, because, you know, there are people that have plenty of access to food, overweight, obese, right? And I certainly believe that those are communities that are not being served in a lot of ways.
What do we call that? Consumers who are.
I added local served community, even though they're not served, they're actually served. But anyway, just so we know that what we're referring to.
Yeah.
But this is also about the quality of the food, right? Because people like can get like enough food, but don't have like quality of food.
Yeah, that's why I put public schools. Yeah.
Food banks.
Poor quality consumers. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. God, that.
Not in my backyard.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Are we happy with that? I mean, not happy, but
It's definitely a good place to move on.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I
think
thought
so.
about like the LGBTQ community, but they're kind of wrapped up in everywhere in there. So
Yeah, that's true.
Shall we let's move to institutions before we move to nature, because I'm pretty sure once we go to nature, it will be even worse than supermarkets and restaurants. So let's just go to institutions. NGOs, the government, school system,
Members of the African diaspora.
Shall I just put society? I think we need to.
I want to get more specific. Right? Like, you know, what are the institutions that we're focusing on? Like, what are the cultures? What are the Like the UN, I think the UN is obviously an institution that we want to focus on.
Well,
Right?
if you want to put in the like African American diaspora, then you could put in like the ecosystem. You would put more like social.
So some of the stuff that I've been learning this past week. So the members of the African continent have gotten together. Is it the AES? But they've actually created another nation, quote unquote, that we're calling members of the African diaspora, not just in the United States, but, you know, all members that have been affected by the slave trade. And, you know, by us coming together within a 10-year mark, I believe, under the UN's 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, the idea is that collectively we're able to offer like some sort of new economy or some sort of like new economic wave, right? Or through this international buying power. So that's why I do say members of the African diaspora, because that is something that has...
Now it's become an institution.
Correct.
Maybe like country-based
Heritage-based
institution.
Thinking over here, the military is wrong.
Government, I guess, would military wrap up into government?
That's true.
Oligopolies, I love that. We were having a conversation with Hector yesterday, Luna, and we said that brands are now people. Are those part of the institution that we have to be concerned? Like how are McDonald's and Subway and those brands going to be?
Oligopolies kill them.
Healthcare system, healthcare.
Oh yes, of course. How can we forget this? Oh, actually, for the not underserved communities as well.
Yeah, very much so.
Healthcare? Yeah. Yeah, because they face the consequences of food-based, right?
Totally.
I'll add them in the other. I'll add them in the
Thank
other
you.
side. Yeah, and then I differentiated between huge NGOs and local NGOs. So like the No Kid Hungry, kind of those Food America kind versus the Feed Your Neighbor or people like that, which have kind of different needs.
Mhm.
Can I just please add the pharmaceutical fucking industry?
Big pharma, that's true.
You said the pharmaceutical.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because of like them all going out into like our native, especially South America, right? They'll come in and they'll just be like, this plant, we're gonna patent it and like make it into medicine. You don't get this medicinal food plant no more.
It's mad.
Not in my garden.
Yeah, not in my garden.
They're not NIMBYs, they're NIMGYs.
Unless they send a drone or something.
What would Monsanto be?
Pharmaceutical industry.
Devil?
I guess, yeah, it's a pharmaceutical.
The devil.
Yeah,
So-
thank you.
Or
Yeah.
agro.
Trying to patent corn.
I'm just gonna put industries because otherwise I have to name each one of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have war industry, fucking industry, but even though I will just have pharmaceutical as something that touches pretty much everything that we named because they are what they are.
Are there
And we sorry.
just real quick, is there a waste component to this industry? Like who disposes of all the rotten bananas on a farm, or like is there like a...
Yeah, there's people that picked it up, and I think you have waste at the.
So we had it at
It's at
restaurant
the
level.
Yeah, it's at the restaurant level. Yeah.
Also, you can add it to the farm.
Mm-hmm.
I added to the restaurants, the trash companies. I mean,
Yeah,
for a lack of a better word, I'm sorry.
waste
Get the
collection.
percentage waste on actual farms. It's not like it's.
I have this thought that I don't want to let go, and you guys tell me if I'm being too abstract. But is the technology itself a user group? And
That would be the industry technology.
Oh, one
that,
is
Luna?
missing. Another one in institutions, students.
Someone says Deus.
School system.
We have school system.
what were you saying, Vincent?
Yeah,
It seems like
You don't think?
you're right, Vincent. There's
but I think there's a difference though, because you have the school system, which is what all of it encompasses, but then you have the students themselves, which yes, that they are part of the school system, but like for example, in Miami right now, you have the superintendent. He's in Miami. He's been posting about going out in the community and actually giving food to a lot of the underserved, neighborhoods and individuals, because the students would get their meal in school and not at home. And so I think that there is something about isolating and at least identifying the students that are part of the institutions, because oftentimes that's where they're getting like their 2 meals of the day before they get home and they don't have anything else to eat.
I think that I love the way that Vincent is thinking, because I think that if we're separating out like the actual institutions themselves, versus like the curriculum, the propaganda that they use, I think that there's an argument to be said that what they have been taught has been so wrong for so long. That's almost the institution in and of itself. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it seems like there's a few categories. There's the people getting the food, there's the school systems that are providing the food, and then there's a whole education system surrounding food, right? Like all the stuff.
Right.
And agricultural schools. Okay, so this is a lot. Shall we move on to...
Let's go to consumers before we go to nature, I believe.
Okay, do you want to do that one last? Okay.
Also because we already started consumer, so I believe it'll be faster.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Cottage industries again over here, because a lot of times now we're having to rely on small local people. We're all trading casseroles.
Families.
Companies.
Then you have the unofficial cottage industry, where you have individuals in some of those underserved communities who they're like serving, like the local like candy man, but like has like the
what am I missing here? What you guys said?
Cottage
industries.
How do you spell it?
As in COTTAGE, as in like a cottage.
COTTAGE.
Like cottage cheese, Luna.
Yeah, I thought so, but I never know. What else? Consumer delivery. Especially.
I think that we've developed some personas for food truck shoppers. I mean, there's the cheap eaters, right? There's people who love to dine for like the experience and being able to be cool, right? Well, I guess those are foodfluencers. There are functional eaters, so people that only eat just because they have to eat it. They need to survive for the day. They don't really care about it. Goodness, what else? There are. Yeah, there's a ton.
People who make food decisions for everyone else. So like mom,
nutrologists, school nutrologists, I believe they're huge.
The nutritionist?
Nutritionist is how you call them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Doctors. I mean, maybe not here, maybe somewhere else.
Vegans.
Did you say vegans?
I said vegans.
Alternative eaters, right?
Alternative, yeah, to classify, because you got the.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Are we missing anything?
We got budget. Do we get budget eaters?
Budget eaters, yeah.
No. In a minute, I'm gonna jump off. I just want to say that.
Yeah. Before you go, Vincent, maybe let's just come up with one outcome, at least one, and then if there's something else, we can just share it via email. Let's all come back to this mural board, and for needs, let's just add whatever we believe is one of the needs for at least one of the stakeholders. So then I can go through it before next meeting and have it all compiled.
So can we agree to have that done by Sunday evening?
Yep. You guys, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all, at least for now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
rearrange this to make it easier.
Since we have a lot here, can we just go to nature so we don't keep it?
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you, Vincent.
Right. Saw you on LinkedIn, Vincent.
Okay, I will.
Okay, nature, because I'm also hopping off soon.
I got a meeting in about 2 minutes, so
it's okay. Just so we don't our work is not missed. I will go through all the how might we phrases and see how I will compile them and share with everybody, so you guys can see if you agree or not.
You put on we're using the Google Docs document with that, right?
Yes. I will make sure to let you guys know where I will compile, where I have it compiled anyway. But yes, I'm using the new radical for repository. Okay, so nature.
Okay, so we've got advocates.
Oops.
The soil.
Yeah, copy this one. It gets for some reason.
Oh, it's so difficult sometimes.
So we've got plant producers, so not agriculture, but not including meat and stuff. Is that what it's called?
Humans, animals.
Flora and fauna.
Say that again.
Flora and fauna. You know, just
Yeah.
Definitely.
Domesticated. The domesticated animals, our poor cows and pigs and chicken.
Alternative.
So I have pets, and then I have the mess.
And I just love this concept of chi. I don't know how you want to define it, but balance is something that I think is missing and kind of off kilter, which is why we're starting to see some of these repairings taking place.
Say that again, Terrence.
Oh, I said, like, I don't know how we just, is it like the human spirit? How do you quantify that? But I think that there's our collective consciousness, right? Our collective understanding that has a direct impact on some of our choices.
But I mean, that's not a stakeholder. Stakeholder is something more concrete. So maybe it's humans, and we can add two different things: humans and then society. Because I believe then that we have two different.
The database, the knowledge, the collective knowledge.
Those are ecosystem services. That's not necessarily a stakeholder.
Yeah,
ecosystem services. I'll send you a link for that. I think it's those are more abstract things. Yeah, ecosystem services. That would be what it does for us, right? What nature does for us. That's not, but we're the stakeholders involved in nature and other things that rely on nature. The information or the value, the intrinsic value, is a ecosystem service.
What are the main industries that need nature to exist? I mean, besides everybody else, but.
Well, we can look at loggers, because one of the big deforestation thing is we need wood to build stuff. So I guess the building industry, the cut down trees to build. Deforestation.
See, tiny
native communities too. I guess you could put Aboriginal. Did we put that there? Yeah, local communities.
We have local communities. Yeah. Okay. Well, this seems like a good stopping point since everyone has to go.
Yeah. At least we address all ecosystems. Yeah. So what I can promise is to go through the how might we's and come up with some solutions, and everybody can vote, or everybody can just rearrange whatever I create and see if we can create something even better from that. From that, and if we can all agree on having at least one post-it for each stakeholder by Sunday. So then between Sunday and Wednesday, I can also compile everything and see if I see any similarities.
That's a good idea. And I propose to rearrange these clusters in order of like a chain or supply chain.
I love my supply chain.
So yeah, you can look at, and then I'll clean this up so that it'll be easier for us to add the pink dots. Cool.
Awesome, guys. I need everyone to fill out the committee member packets. I know you don't want to do it. It sucks. It's annoying, but it helps me start to visualize this stuff. And I'm representing you guys as I bring in new people. Awesome, thank you. But you know, so it's if I meet someone and I'm bringing them on board and I say, oh, you need a design thinker, talk to my friend Marina. This is her rate card. This is, you know what I mean? I just need all that information. So the sooner that you guys can start sending me that data, the better. And then also because I'm working on our business plan, I can start, you know, allocating budget towards these different things that we are doing. Cool?
Okay.
Cool.
And I would love, whenever you guys have time, it's something that it's still ongoing and I'm building it. But if you go through the Excel spreadsheet where I created all the clusters and see if you get any inspiration from that, it will be great. So I know how to use this for our next steps as well, because I feel like there's so much there. I already kind of created one business model, and for the other one, I kind of saw the golden circle, you know, for why, how, and what. So maybe we also have a direction from that.
Yeah, I put into the Google Doc kind of something I was working on under my question, how might we create a community with financial, cultural, social, and environmental equity? And I always look locally, so I put out this, you know, a food co-op, again, is one of the simplest thing.
CS design. Yeah, I saw it here. I'm gonna go through all you guys' links as well and see if I can get more inspiration. And if you need anything, I'm always available. We can talk between now and Wednesday if you guys have time. And I guess that's it. I'll make sure to send an email. Either me or Terrence will send an email with
I'll send an email with a copy of this recording,
our to-dos.
link, and to remind you guys to send me your rate cards and to fill out your member packets. All right.
Is that one I did already online, right?
You already did it, You are the only one, my G.
I didn't.
Thank you, my guy.
Terrence, maybe share that again in our next email.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you. I'm giving you guys a hard time.
Guys,
all right, guys,
you're
I
amazing.
appreciate you. Let's go.
All right,
Thank you
guys.
for your time.
All right. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Take care.